With the C2 and the B, Lenovo has brought two cheap phones to several markets. So here in Germany, Europe, including tax, this is 129.99 euros, may vary depending on country. In this video, I will tell you the specs and the differences, of course, and I have the test results from the battery runtime test for you. So let's start with the haptics and optics. This one is matte, good grip to your fingers. This one has some diagonal stripes, and it's not only looking like as if it really has this one, so good grip for your fingers too, but it's a weird feeling on the tips of the fingers, so you have to like it. It's not my thing, but yeah, it's my personal taste, of course. But what I really like is on both that you can not only rip off the backside but exchange the battery. I've seen that not for a very long time now, because nowadays, and especially in the mid and the upper class, all the phones have fixed built-in batteries. So here, just rip off, take a new one, and you're on again. I really love this design. I would like to see more of that. But what you also see is that you have on both, you have real dual SIMs, so 3 slots, 2 for SIMs, both micro, also like this one here, and 1 micro SD card slot. And the battery capacity here, it's 2750 milliamps, 2000. And with that, test results already 418 minutes, that's 17% below the average, 377 minutes, 25% below. So at least here, I guess even regular user will get in trouble to come through the day with that. Here, 17%, you might have a little bit more luck, but you have to be careful. Yeah, and 4G, yes. Dual HSPA, yes. You have Wi-Fi, but only in the old 2.4 gigahertz band, not in the new 5 gigahertz. So no AC, no NFC, and especially Bluetooth only 4.0. The current Bluetooth standard is now up to 4.2. 5 is coming already. And the difference between 4.0 and 4.2 is in most cases depending on these low energy modes. Accessory with these little tiny batteries running for weeks or even months, and there has made some very enhancements on these low energy mode between 4.0, 4.1 and 4.2. So if you want to have used some of this accessory with these phones here, make sure that the accessory is really running with Bluetooth 4.0 completely before you buy these two here. Yeah, but that, let's come to the displays. As you've seen, of course, you have different sizes, 4.45 inch, 113 millimeters, 4.98, 127 millimeters, and resolution, of course, 720 by 1280 pixels, 480 by 854. So you have completely different pixel density also. Here we're talking about 295 ppi, that's 49% below the average, 220 ppi, 72% below the average. But nevertheless, you can read everything. But let me show some photo, for example, that you can see for yourself, and especially what the difference is here. Let me go from the black one to, let's take this one here, for example, and show you both in landscape mode, because there is more you have to know. First of all, different brightness. Here below, that's the Lenovo C2. I measured in the middle, on the center of the display, 440 nits. So that's 9% below the average for LCDs, absolutely okay. Here on top, that's the Lenovo B. I measured 285 nits. That's 41% below the average, and I guess you really see the difference. Very much darker here, and there is more. This one below is a IPS panel, but no dual domain, meaning you do not have these double axis viewing angle stability. And you also see this here if I'm turning that way, or maybe even this. And especially if you combine these two axes, then at some point is starting the color and the contrast, and it's getting weak, but you can live with that. Here on top, this is a pure TFT, one of the old times. You know, Nokia was king and so on. then you use TFT. And you see that already here, and already when I'm turning this one, and especially once more like this here, and very soon it's getting very ugly, and you cannot see anything more like this one here, for example. So combine that together with the low brightness, you will get in trouble on the outside if you do not look exactly on top of it, and maybe even then in bright daylight, in bright sunlight, for example. I wouldn't recommend to buy this one. For example, if you go to holidays, have a third device, you say, okay, when I'm losing it, I'm not in trouble. So maybe this one, okay, but not for regular usage, for everyday usage, I wouldn't recommend, because there's coming more. Wait for that. Here, this is okay from the display. And by the way, we have camera here, for example, 8 megapixels instead of 5. Videos, both 720p. You have that white LCD here as flash. On the front, 5 megapixel photos, 1.9, let's say 2 megapixels photos, and videos on the front, both 640 by 480 only. So forget about that. Both have, by the way, the same processor almost. It's a MediaTek 6735P and M here, but I couldn't detect any difference because both have 4 cores, both clocked with 1 gigahertz, both have 1 gigabyte RAM working memory, and both have the very same Mali T720MP1 graphics unit. And especially, it's the same result I'm getting with that. So let me start graphically very advanced game called Dead Trigger 2 to show you a little game check inside this video here, while I'm telling you a little bit more about this one, because I wanted to show you here how the fluidness is in a graphically advanced game, like this one really, really is. But normally I'm testing in high quality mode. You have low, mid, and high. I couldn't choose high here on both. So this is medium quality. What you will see now, I hope, starting every second here. You have Android 6, by the way. It's delivered with a security patch from October. We're talking now from the end of December, so quite some month old, but still okay. Let's see when the newest one is coming here. Okay, Dead Trigger 2. Below here, this is a Lenovo C2. I do not want to show you the game, just how it's working and how smooth it is. And I tested it before, of course, for a longer period, especially with Game Bench. I can check, okay, what's the average frames per second rate and other data. And here you can have a max of 60 frames per second, and the C2 reaches 29 frames per second here as an average. So it's okay, as you can see. It's not top, it's a little bit, yeah, not very fluid, but okay at least. And if you take some games like Angry Birds or whatever, you will not have any troubles at all. So here, like I told you, I couldn't find any difference from the processor and the graphics unit. It's the very same. Average 29 frames per second, so you can live with that. It's not top, it's not the best, but okay. So you see for yourself, just as a small impression, little impression here, how it's like on a graphically advanced game. But once more, not in the top quality mode, in the medium quality mode here. Yeah, that's the processor. And I told you there's more to come, unfortunately. And the last point is the internal memory. Both it's 8 gigabyte gross. So the very interesting figure is always net, and that means when I'm packing out, unboxing it, and having updated all pre-installed apps and the operating system, of course, in that case, the C2 has left 1.9 gigabyte gross net, 1.9 gigabyte net, and here it's 2.4. The difference comes, for example, that you have some more apps pre-installed here, like Twitter or Navigate, McAfee. Of course, you can deinstall this one, but it's coming back with every update, and you do not have these one here. And one more difference, I do not know why this is, I detected here in the settings, and that's this point here, home, you do not have on the C2 for whatever reason. So this is the way it's delivered, at least here in Europe, with the launcher, but you can check this one here, and then you have the regular Google interface with that icon here for the menu or for the app launcher that's missing here. So if you're going back to this one, but of course you can have every app launcher installed here on the C2, but for that target group, maybe this is already starting getting some troubles. I'm not quite sure how experienced these guys are that are really buying those phones here. So you should know that you have to look for your own app launcher here on the C2. That's the difference here. So you have only 2.4, only 1.9 gigabyte left. And that's meaning that, for example, a game like Dead Trigger 2 has around about 2 gigabytes. So you wouldn't install this here on that one if you would not have a SD card. So, starting with Android 6, you have the possibility, or let me go here, no, notification is not on here, storage over there, and here is the SD card. So then you go to settings, and you have this one here. So if you first install your SD card, you can format as internal, starting from Android 6, like I told you, 6.0 pre-installed here. And that means that you combine the internal memory and the memory from the SD card to one unit. So you can use it as one, so you can install, like for example, Dead Trigger 2 or other apps here, bigger apps. But if you want to remove that SD card someday, you have to disconnect this connection here with that eject setting here before you remove it, because otherwise you could lose data. So you have to be a little bit careful with that setting, but it's possible at least. Means on the other hand, you have to have an SD card for both. So at least I would say 8, maybe better 16 gigabyte SD card. It's just some euros more, of course. It's not that big trouble, but you should know that you need one on both, I'd say. And when we are here with the details, you will also have detected that the navigation is below the display. That's a good issue, because you have the complete display, the complete screen size for the net content. On the other hand, this one is not illuminated. So you have to remind that the back button here is like on Samsung's, but not on the original stock Android. That's on the left normally here. So you have to might mix up in the first days if you cannot see the icons in low light conditions, for example. So get used to it that it's here on the right side, and you cannot change this one, of course, because it's hard coded here on that area below. Pros and cons. Yeah, and that's enough, I hope so, at least for first impression of the Lenovo C2 and B. Thanks for watching, and please be so kind to rate this video. Maybe you leave a sub and your opinion in the comments. Thanks for that in advance. Take care and bye.